be dealing with the misperception of the targeted individual. Targeted individuals deal with a ridiculous amount of pressure, and as a result, sometimes they can be dysfunctional in different ways. Sometimes they can come down with depression. Sometimes they can come down with anxiety disorders, agoraphobia. They can become sensitized to things. They can have trouble staying employed. They can have financial difficulties. There are a lot of things that targeted individuals have to deal with. And, for people who understand what gang stalking is, it's not an issue. It's the people around the targeted individual who, by and large, have no idea what they're dealing with, that can inadvertently, at the very least, play in to the scenario that the targeted individual's been put in. And, they are looked at as though they are maybe drug abusers. They might be viewed as mentally ill, as slackers, that they've just given up. They don't care. They're angry, grumpy people or whatever, and they're just dealing with a lot. This is a very clever way of destroying someone because the people around them just assume that they are mentally ill, they're afflicted, or, they have just, succumbed to maybe a bunch of different character defects or whatever, and the blame falls on the victim. The people who are involved in gang stalking have a real easy job when they are recruiting people or putting that person in the role of a scapegoat. I've talked about before how the targeted individual's reputation is bastardized, how, there's a disinformation campaign in recruiting people to harass the victim, or money could be involved. But we're going to focus in on how, the dysfunction and the misperception of the targeted individual plays in to their scenario. Well, first of all, you have to live your life. That means there are things that you have to accomplish. You have to, move in a way where you are, successful to a certain degree. And when you're getting harassed, when you're getting gang stalked, there's going to be a lot of hindrances. Okay, so you're stuck with two options. You can try to explain honestly what's going on, or you can make up excuses. All right, and everybody knows what happens when you try to explain this stuff, especially if you're experiencing the higher forms of gang stalking. You're going to look crazy because, and I've talked about this a lot, you're dealing with a spiritual type of scenario. Okay, well, there's a lot of people out there who might just be dealing, with a group of people or some type of government thing or whatever. And we'll speculate that if they left the country or whatever, they'd get away or whatever. However you want to process that. But there are people who deal with this stuff on a level where their inner circle, people and their family, maybe their friends, become involved. Strangers can become involved. The logistics just fall apart when you try to hold to the, conspiratorial collusion type of model, especially people who leave their geographical location. People thousands of miles away who don't know the people who might have been harassing the targeted individual in one specific area. Now they're connected. Now they know. Now they're in some type of collusion with the people they used to work with or whatever. Now that doesn't make sense. It's not possible. The only realistic explanation can come into play is when you're looking at the spiritual dimension. And, people talk about the hive mind. They talk about, maybe, a popular example of, from something that's theatrical would be the Borg or something like the Body Snatchers or whatever. And I believe that. I believe that, from the spiritual dimension, that there are a lot of things that are mysterious, but people are being manipulated. There is a mental narrative that is being, pushed on everyone. There is, entities, spiritual beings that are manipulating people. They are influencing them, and they're hidden. They're unseen, kind of like the fourth dimension. Okay? And you can see it if you look at, for example, a map of the religions of the world, and you hold to that biblical model, of the nations being divided up according to the sons of God. You can see how the principalities and powers are, kind of out there, and they have pushed different mental narratives upon people, whether it be religious beliefs or whatever. And you can see the effects. You can look at it on a map. You can see it in everyday life. And, how do you explain something like that to someone who's completely blind to that reality? And it causes a lot of fights in the targeted individual community too, because it makes people feel uncomfortable, or they've been rubbed the wrong way by religion or something like that, and they just don't like the idea. Maybe they've sat up at night and kind of been tormented by the thought of, eternal hell or something, and it's just driving them nuts, and they don't want to deal with it. And when they're, forced to deal with the situation of being a targeted individual, of being harassed in this way, where it seems like people are in that type of collusion, they don't want to deal with that. And there's a pushback, and the huge problem is that there is government stuff going on. Okay, there is secret societies. There are groups of people in on this stuff. There are conscious collusions involved, but ultimately it is being controlled behind the scenes, by the spiritual dimension. And if you're one of those targeted individuals who is dealing with a heavy, assault, that higher form of harassment, well, it's even harder for you to explain. You basically can't. The percentage of the population who is targeted is probably, I would say fairly small, because, the rest of the world wouldn't be able to function. If everybody was dealing with this stuff, and I've talked about it before, you wouldn't have doctors, you wouldn't have lawyers, you wouldn't have, professional jobs, because people they'd be too stressed out. They'd be dysfunctional. They would be dealing with all the stuff that you're dealing with, And when it comes down to it, you're left in that dysfunction. You're left to deal with all these pressures. And, how do you explain it? Well, you could try, but you're either going to look crazy or stupid. Because if you make excuses and you're having, more than, your fair share of bad days per month or per year or whatever, well, you're making excuses. You're going to look inept. If you tell people the truth, you're going to look crazy. And, that disinformation campaign, it's a problem. And I think all targeted individuals deal with that. And even if there isn't a disinformation campaign, people are going to come up with their own conclusions, right? And they're not going to know. They don't know what you're dealing with. Everybody's got that disease where they think that the world that they're in is just like everybody else's, right? That, and I've run into that before. I remember going in to get some medication. I was trying to get I don't remember, I think it was something to help me sleep from a doctor, or I was trying to explain something, and I said, well, I just don't let the anxiety of life get to me. And I'm, in that classic scenario, I was like, well, I just was tempted to say, well, I guarantee you're not dealing with the things I'm dealing with. This has nothing to do with just, I'm nervous when I cross the street. I'm dealing with stuff that, is really intense. I'm not just, a person who can't get over a past event of my childhood. I'm being assaulted. I'm being attacked. My life has been in danger several times this year. But, you can't say anything. You can't tell anybody because, like I said, you've got that dilemma. You're either going to look crazy or you're going to look stupid. It sucks. And, it's part of that sense of injustice that I think drives a lot of targeted individuals over the edge, because, it's bad enough to deal with the pressure and the frustration, without the stigma. And, many targeted individuals, they have to move around. They have to move from job to job, or they have to, relocate or whatever. And they're always dealing with that because, the truth of the matter is that society is that way. There is, group dynamics that play a part in, how this place works. And everybody has their role to play. It's just the way it is. And targeted individuals always get shuffled in to the scapegoat. They always get, it's that guy or that girl. I don't know what their problem is. And you're going to get that. And people vent on you. You become a victim. People just, generally have that attitude towards you. And it's it's a dilemma. What do you do? Well, the first thing is, remember, these people are not going to get away with this. They're going to have to answer for it. Don't let the sense of injustice build up and overwhelm you. It's going to be brought to light. Okay? Second thing is, you need to draw near to God. This is way bigger than you, and you're going to need the power of Christ to deal with it. That's just my honest advice. Third thing is, you want to try to maintain functionality in your life. You want to remain employed. You want to try and maintain physical health, your diet. You want to try and be as social as possible in your situation, because social deprivation is a big technique to drive targeted individuals crazy. Even if you gotta go to like an Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous or something and fib a little bit, you're still making that connection. And these people that are dealing with that kind of stuff, they're still dealing with stressful situations. So you do have something in common, even if they're not dealing with gang stalking. There is options. You can get out there online and connect with people who are targeted individuals and, just try and get busy, study, and work. Okay. And, you just have to know that this stuff is going to get solved. I'd like to end the show by asking for prayer for you guys. My cat just got an operation, and it's healing, but she's having a hard time. And, I'm kind of stressed out too. I'm just going to ask for you guys to pray for me. I'm still having COVID symptoms on and off. And I would like to thank the people again who helped me on GoFundMe to support me and the channel. And it's still out there if you want to do it. Michael, Arizona, capital M, capital A, extended COVID expenses. Anything would help. I've got a lot of financial issues, and there's just been a lot going on. Guys, be good to yourselves. Be safe.